We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such. I know y'all tired of it, but we got a new season of thePass. Welcome to season 8, the Mamba Year. Podcast available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of your podcast platforms. Here you'll get a dose of content related to tech, the productivity world, and most importantly, how to be a better you. The theme for this year, personally, is receiving grace. And we definitely want to do better with receiving it and being open to being a better us from who we were a year ago. So this is season 8 of thePass, and I hope you all enjoy. What is up? What's going on? Episode 407 of thePass is here. I'm your host, BT, and I think I got it. I think we are at a point where we will possibly do the unthinkable, and that is record from home. I want to talk about this now before I get into the topics and some of the information I have, but I wanted to share it while I'm sitting here noticing, like, hold on, this could possibly happen. I've been very hesitant with recording in different spaces because many people who know me know that I'm real particular when it comes to audio. Even my friend Jacoby was on, I believe it was episode 404, and we had kind of like a joke conversation where he was like, yeah, so, I come on the show and right afterward you get new equipment. I'm like, no, we got new equipment because now you got to come back on the show and we got to utilize it. But right now there's like a fair amount of noise that I can hear on my end that you all can't hear. And that is just power in the proof of the quality of the content that we're about to receive for this show. Even down to something to you all that's not a big deal, but to me, and I've always said that if I ever record, I'm always going to be aware and thinking of the fact that I got to have a fan on because I'm not going to take no chances. And the fan's going, and even in this recording, you are probably not going to hear it as much as I can hear it. And even if I was to turn the fan up, you still probably wouldn't hear it. So that tells me a lot. But I don't want to make each episode, because I know by a certain point, y'all will be like, look, I'm tired of hearing about this microphone. Like, we need content, and content you shall receive. So I have one thing outside of that I will say was like, not even a story, but it's something that happened with doing the last episode. So I believe I was at a library recording that episode, and when I finished, I was like, all right, cool, show's done, I can wrap up and take everything with me. The thread, so a lot of you who do or don't know this, with recording different with using the microphone, there's the stand that it sits on, and then it's like I believe it either came with it or I purchased like this threading that you can thread for the actual podcast mic itself, for the Rode mic. That particular thread got stuck in the microphone, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna get this out, what's gonna happen. Eventually I was able to get it out, and as of now I won't be using those anymore. I have the other one for the second mic, so whenever I get my first guest on, it should be a treat. And I'm saying this now because I'm telling y'all this, and I want to be clear with what I'm about to say. When I have guests on, if you come on as a guest, I don't care if you don't do it. At least for a while, for a bit of the show, just try to wear headphones. I know it's like a weird ask, but I promise you it works out. It helps, because then it also helps me, and it helps you hear yourself, and it also helps me hear your, like, how you're coming into the show. So we got all of that out the way. let's get into some topics, man. I've been back and forth and doing a couple things here and there, but it's all going to intertwine when I discuss what's been what and what's been going on. So first things first, first thing I want to address, if you did or did not know, Apple had their, I will call it their tablet keynote. And it was an interesting keynote. And I had the pleasure of being able to watch it in, if you want to say it, in the comfort of, I was home while it was playing, which was cool. It worked out perfectly fine. There was a lot of unveilings that we kind of saw coming, but the big stories or the big news was the iPad Air got a big brother or big sister, however you want to call it, and the iPad Pro increased in its screen size a little bit and now has been donned or defined as the thinnest tablet out there. And I'm gonna be real with you. And I talked to someone about this while it was all going on. For some reason, this particular keynote gave or felt very whelming. And I know I'm always using this term and it's become like a new term or it's a new phrase for me, but either thing's going to be overwhelming, whelming, or underwhelming. And it was very whelming. It wasn't underwhelming. It was whelming in the sense that we got new things, but it wasn't overwhelming as in like, oh, this is going to be like the game changer, or it's going to put someone in a position to really consider upgrading to this device if they had an iPad already. Like, my iPad Pro is from 2021, I believe, because the year that I bought mine, like literally that same year, the 2022 version came out. What they did with this one that's out now, and it's kind of almost like perfect timing for it to happen. The iPad Pro that came out in 2022 had the M2 chip. For the iPad Pro that came out this year that's being released, that has the M4 chip. So that was the big, if you will, that was the selling point of the newer iPad. The thinness of the iPad is the bigger story. And like I said, we're talking about the Pro currently. The Air, I'm going to be real, and I've said this to people before. If you don't have to buy the Pro and there's nothing that's like pulling you in to have to be in ownership of the Pro, get the Air. The Air will do everything you need and then some. When the keynote ended, they literally had the newer iPads already up and ready to be talked about and presented. Also, what was released was the iPad, the Apple Pencil Pro. Now I'm gonna talk about this a little bit, and I want to be clear in what I'm about to say. Businesses know how to market for their intention. Businesses know how to be marketable for their intention. And what I mean by that is they know that if they release a new pencil, it forces you into a different portion of the ecosystem. Now, let me get the good things out of the way, and we're going to be real with it. The Apple Pencil Pro has a lot of designer-based features that to the average consumer, it's not going to be a wow factor, and that's okay. However, there are minimal things that it includes that most people have probably been begging for or waiting for to come up. One of which is the Apple Pencil will finally be part of the Find My family. Because anyone, me being one of them, I literally remember getting my I remember getting my iPad Pro, got the pencil, came home, set everything up. Actually, I went to a local, I think I went to a Starbucks or something and set everything up. And after doing the setup, I genuinely remember like either that same day or the next day, couldn't find a pencil. And I'm like, this is definitely not good. I mean, I knew it was where I was, but I was also like, there's no way to really track the pencil per se. Long story short, I did end up finding it, but there was no feature to like keep you in the loop on keeping that product nearby. This newer one has that feature, and I think that's going to be a big push. They added a feature where if you push, kind of like if you pinch the pencil, it gives you more features that you can use. I would not be surprised if they find a way to either drop that in as a firmware, or they can make that like a feature that might come up with the Apple Pencil 2. We don't know. I thought it was odd that they didn't implement this feature on the USB-C version of the Apple Pencil, which to this day, I'm still not the biggest fan of that pencil, but I think for the cost and for the convenience, it's a good option to have if you're in need of having an Apple Pencil, but not wanting to pay for the normal Apple Pencil that may not do everything that you need it to do. So I got all the cute stuff out of the way and the things to talk about on that side. Now we're going to get to the real. The only devices that this Apple Pencil Pro will work with are the iPads that were presented at the keynote. So that is your iPad Air, both your 11-inch and your 13-inch, and your iPad Pro 11-inch and 13-inch. I understand why that's a thing that they're doing, but it kind of was like I'm not really, it didn't give me like incentive to be like, okay, now you got me. Like I'm sold. Like give me one of them. Like let me get that. I really wasn't as pressed about it when I saw that information being shared. But you know, it's one of those things that just kind of comes with the territory of what the challenge of not being, but then somehow being with the ecosystem. And, you know, it is what it is. Those were really the bigger things that were talked about at this unveiling. I did see something briefly just now from Engadget for WWDC, where, of course, our good old friend AI is coming in the mix. So we're going to be seeing that being utilized in some form or fashion. The big question that everyone is wanting to know is, does this mean that the young lady that starts with an S, I will not say her name because she will start talking. Where does that leave her in the mix with the phone side of things? I got a little scared. That almost scared me for a second. I'm looking at my levels. I was like, wait, where's my audio? I'm talking, but I don't see anything, but we good. You start to see it all make sense in the long run, if you will. And, well, like I said, people will be getting the device. You're going to see a lot of reviews. There's some people who've already done like their early release reviews. My usual suspects, MKBHD, your average consumer may do a review on it. Justine, look forward to her input about it. Which one she's likely going to get the Pro 13. And yeah, we'll see what's talked about by then. So that's in a simple way. That's mostly what was the gist from the keynote, and from that particular keynote. Because like I said, it was very iPad oriented, and of course they always are going to present something that you know is coming, but until you see it happen, it was there in front of you and just not being aware. And that is in the image for the Apple Pencil, for the Apple logo and the design, you saw the pencil. So there was a chance there was going to be a new pencil coming. So and I think the good part with that, in my opinion, is that the pencil for the Apple Pencil Pro is the same price as the Apple Pencil 2 that is with the later iPads. I believe they're going to still sell a few of those. They still should. I mean, I don't think they're going to have them like completely out of stock, unless they've just kind of wiped the shelves. But I doubt it, because Apple still has to like make sure they get some type of payout from those. And I didn't realize this until it was brought up or addressed that they're a $2 trillion business. But that's, that's neither here nor there. Been in limbo with this, but I think now, especially after doing the setup today and kind of knowing like how I need to move everything, I think we're going to be back to a weekly show again. So I know a lot of people have been like, Bryan, you ain't been doing no shows. What's been going on? Everything. All right. Everything's been good. There's been a lot of Bryaning happening, and we'll talk about that a little bit in some of the other topics that I have listed. But it's definitely been, it was kind of like a back and forth thing of like, okay, I got content. Do I want to do shows? Am I ready to do shows? What's the storyline? How are we going to get this all going? And then eventually I was like, you know what, just let's do the shows and let's let them rock and kind of make it be what it be. And here we are. So that's mostly that on that. Mental inventory. I'll give you this. I'll say it in this realm or in this thought process. I've been able to stop and get a much more simpler clarity on things without having to bend or reinvent the wheel, if you will. I'm human. Every day is not rainbows and sunshine. I know I feel like I say that almost every couple of episodes, but trying to find that inner peace, that inner sanity, that personal form of like, hey, I feel loved. Hey, you're valued. Hey, you're doing a good job. Having those conversations with myself has been like a big hit. I believe this is our first episode for the month. This is this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to remind everyone, if you have the resources and are able to do so, connect and set up with a therapist, man. Like, I don't know how else I can say it. A lot of people don't believe in therapy. Totally respect it. But I will tell you, as someone who can openly stand on this, your people ain't gonna be the best therapists, because sometimes they're gonna give you input, but they're gonna give input with minimal listening and just throwing something out there, and it's not gonna hit close to what you're facing or could possibly be facing. So it's something to kind of keep in mind and be aware of. But yeah, the mental inventory, like, I've been keeping it together, literally holding it down. Genuinely speaking, been just working harder to just maintain focus and just remember my purpose, and not as hard as it is. And I feel like this comes up frequently, more often than none, to not be so hard on myself, because there's a lot that I do get accomplished, but sometimes we don't see what we're accomplishing because we're thinking about what we haven't done, because we see all these things around us. Like, I didn't do this. I didn't get that done. And lately, I'm starting to realize that it's almost to the point where it's time for me to streamline the process without making the process more than what it is. Because you should not, and this is my personal take, you should not have management of what you're trying to get done be done via more than 3 sources. And what I mean by that is, for my Gmail folks, for my task guys and gals, for my notepad takers, for my handwritten folks. And yeah, I just gave 4 examples, but you want to have your structure with doing those things be as simple of an ecosystem as possible. And I know that's going to be like, oh gosh, you're using the ecosystem word as an Apple user. And it's like, stop. We all have everyone in some way, shape, or form, regardless of what they use or how they do things, has a source of an ecosystem. They have a way that, with things being done together and pieces being put together as necessary, it gets the job done on all levels, if you will. And I think that's the more important piece than anything else, is to not ignore where you are with that process or with that flow. Because sometimes I think we can get so caught up in thinking like, well, I feel like I'm getting everything done, but then we're like, nothing's getting done. And it's like, you're getting things done. You just need to take your, like, literally, like this portion of it says, keeping your inventory. Like, there are things that I've done over the last few days. I've just been doing them, but then not keeping track of, like, I got this done or this was completed. That's where your plan, that's where your journaling comes in. That's where I've talked about it a few episodes for micro journaling. And I'll remember to place that in the show notes. If you are wanting to get the space-time monotask, I think they've changed the name, but if you're wanting to get their micro journaling setup, definitely check that out. That would be something that I would recommend. Also, and since I just mentioned with it being mental health awareness, my theme this month is what's called May Mindset. So what is your mindset for the month of May? You do not have to publicly give that, but you just want to, it's something to really sit and consider and think about in your structure, in your workflow, in your routine, things of that nature. Our next topic just reminded me of something I need to do, because if I don't, I won't be there. So let me do this now. That, bam, save. All right, we're good. And we're back. Okay. So I've been regaining my itch back with sports, and I gotta give the guys on Who You Got a huge thank you and much appreciation for having me come in and kind of be like that like chill, laid back person with the show, but also like kind of can jump in and give some thoughts here and there. So definitely appreciate y'all having me on. I actually just did a show with them today, and like I said, I think this is gonna be like my new. And I'm playing around with this, because what I could do, which I've thought about before, is get up, set up equipment. No one's really up when I'm up. Share a few thoughts, save it, and edit accordingly. And then, get on their show and we talk sports, talk about life, and kind of go from there. But I definitely am very appreciative of them, bringing me on to like come in as like a third, as like a guest, and as they look at it like family. And I think now lately that's been like one of my biggest honing in, or things that I'm like, I won't say I'm looking for, because I have a family. I'm not gonna ever disregard my family whatsoever. But I do want to take that moment and understanding, like, there are folks that have pretty much observed and embraced me as family from day one, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So I don't want to make light of that whatsoever, but I wanted to share that while we were while we're here on the air. I promise y'all, I know I said I had a few in the tuck ready. I believe I have 3 recordings of walking, what I've called the Walkcast. If you've been keeping up with the shows, they're never going to have a episode number, and 2, they are just a impromptu on the walk microphone. And I found with doing those, the best way to do them typically is with AirPods. Just put in the AirPods, make sure they got a good enough, are teetering, if not at 100%, and just go. Just start talking. They don't miss. Because I have control, but it can become a little uncontrollable, but they end up making sense somehow. I don't know how to explain that, but if you go back and listen to a few of them, you'll understand what I mean. I actually have a lot of them that I recorded when I went to Afrotech that are still not uploaded. A lot of people don't know that, but hey, things happen. Life be lifing, as we always say. So there will be a few more added in. What's today? It's almost 6. I may go back and start looking at those, because I think about adding those in too, and then also thinking about just my time frame with like how much time I have per month with my package for how I stream or how my podcasts are uploaded. Consider those things as well. So you will be hearing or seeing those soon. Early show, but quick message or just a simple thought to give you all for the pass the message for today. Do not worry about who's watching you. Keep doing the right thing. You do not, as people, we sometimes spend a lot of energy and a lot of time seeking approval or looking to make sure if I did this right, that someone's going to be there to say, hey, you did a good job, or hey, you're doing it right, you're getting it done. But the reality is, if you're getting it done, it's going to be shown that you're getting it done. You should not be in a position where you're looking to wait for after you get it done, like, hey, look at what I did. Or it's almost like childhood, when you're in school and you're working on something and you finish it, and you're raising your hand. You got the teacher to come over to look at it and say, hey, look, is this right or is this done? And the teacher saying, yeah, it's done, or yeah, you did good. And getting that you did good for a lot of people is like the $1 million ticket, when in reality, you should be still doing those things that you need to do to get yourself in a better position today than where you were yesterday. And sometimes I've observed it, because I've gone through it myself, where by far I know I'm on the right path, but I'm battling the right path because I feel like it's not the right path that I think I should be on or where I should be at. And it then generates like more tension than deemed necessary. And I'm going to use this opportunity to share this now, because I will be keeping track of it, since I talked about it on my TikTok page, which of course we know TikTok may or may not be a thing anymore by the end of the year. We'll see. But I'm starting a 100-day journal challenge, where each day I'm going to journal. Now, let's be clear. There could be those instances where micro-journaling might just be my journaling for the day. But I want to get my physical journal more TLC and more attention this phase or state that I'm in. And I've talked about it. I've listened to the book. I'm probably going to still read the physical copy of the book, because I know there's a lot that I need to gather. I've watched a lot of videos talking about it. I'm still locked in with the 12-week year. I still think that's a thing. I don't want to look at the whole year and how I plan through the year. I want to plan based on like 12-week increments and make that really happen. And last part, still working on subtle art. My bad. I know I've been talking about the book. I kind of changed my cover, changed some of my profile pictures to like update, like, all right, I'm still in the book, but I've been doing other stuff. But those who get it. So it's, it's understandable, but I just want to be sure. Not that I need to give any explanation, but it's something that pops up with me very often in the flow and the routine of trying to, continue betterment and self improvement. So those are all my topics for today. I know a lot of you all are probably gonna be like, that is a very short show, but it's kind of been like a chill week. Basketball and sports has been going on, but like I said, I don't really, at least now, I'm not looking to throw the sports mix in just yet. It may come up soon. I've talked about it before. I believe I did some playoff talk on the last episode, but it's going to be on the basis of if I'm in the mindset and in the spirit of like, all right, we can talk about it and not feel, I'd rather it be enjoyed than forced. I guess that's the best way to put it. So I appreciate y'all as always. Do the right thing, find the right people, build your tribe. Don't let the small stuff stop you, and continue excelling to be a better version of you. Until next time, this is thePass signing out.
Truly hope you all enjoyed the show. Definitely was a lot to unpack, but I know you'll walk away with something important. As I share the end of each season, do find your way to get into podcasting if it's something you would like to do. My podcasts are currently recorded via Buzzsprout. Been very good to me. If you want to learn more about using them, definitely hit me up at thepassbtpod@gmail.com. And also the microphone that you're hearing me on is the Blue Yeti X. Have been rolling with it for over 3 years. We've been doing this ride for quite some time, so I hope someone could find this mic useful. Again, find those people who are good or helpful in what you're trying to do to be better today than you were yesterday. The primary goal is to be 1% better. Hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll be back again to do this next time.